Welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's online worship. I'm Susie Hubley, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm a member of the worship committee. We are a freely gathered, open, welcoming community supported by your contributions, which can be made with the donate button on our website, by going to our Breeze program if you're a member, or by mailing your check to 524 Allen Avenue, Portland, Maine. Please note if the donation is your pledge or a gift to our Share the Plate for December. The Share the Plate recipient for December is the Minister's Discretionary Fund. The Minister's Discretionary Fund is at the heart of our common ministry. It is a visible demonstration of our care for each other. Your generous gifts allow the minister to provide assistance to members of our church community or of the greater Portland community who are experiencing difficult times financially. If you are struggling with your finances in these challenging times, please contact Reverend Donna. This morning's worship service about diversity is presented by Allen Avenue's Worship Committee. Lay-led worship is a tradition at this and many other Unitarian Universalist societies. At Allen Avenue, the Worship Committee either sponsors or presents one such service a month. On most other Sundays, worship is led by our minister, the Reverend Donna Dalham. You're invited to join us today, December 6th, at 10:45 a.m. for our congregational conversation and coffee hour. This Zoom link can be found on our website. To learn more about Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church, please go to our website at A2U2.org.
Good morning. My name is Anna Noyes-Benoit, and I will be doing this morning's chalice lighting. Fire and water, ancient opposites. Sun and ocean, cradle of life. Dancing flame and dancing river. We invoke them together today as we kindle our chalice flame.
And this is the lesson for all ages. This is a book called Dancing Feet by Charlotte Agell. And this is a book that I used to read to my son Everett when he was little and enjoyed it a lot. And I hope you enjoy it too. Feet, feet. Walking down the street. Dancing on the earth. Skipping to the beat. Hands, hands. Digging in the sand. Baking homemade bread. Playing in the band. Hair, hair. Waving in the air. Shining when it's wet. Getting special care. Arms, arms. Pulling with strong tugs. Holding heavy tools. Giving hearty hugs. Legs, legs. Pedaling up and down. Bending at the knee. Strolling through the town. Eyes, eyes. Looking left and right. Crying tears sometimes. Resting through the night. Mouths, mouths. Sipping on a drink. Tasting something new. Saying what you think. People young and old, doing what they do. Living in the world. And one of them is you. So I think one of the reasons I like this book is it's got pictures of people doing lots of things. And some of them are different from me and some of them are similar to me. But no matter what they're doing, they all have something in common. So that's what I like about it. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Erica Bartlett, and my piece is titled Why Diversity Matters. One of my favorite podcasts is called Creature Feature, and it examines animal behavior and evolution. The host has discussed a fascinating array of animals, which is probably why the topic of diversity got me thinking about nature. After all, the natural world is a weird and wonderful place with a stunning variety of life forms. Due to copyright issues, I can't share pictures of some of the most amazing, like the sharks with spines that glow like a lightsaber, or the blanket octopus that looks like a colorful alien spaceship. But here are a few photos I can share. A regular octopus, which is still strange enough. A pink fairy armadillo. An echidna. And a sea otter that I saw in Alaska. And these others are from my trip to the Galapagos Islands. A sea lion pup, which wins points for cuteness. A pelican. Male great frigate birds trying to attract mates. Sally lightfoot crabs. A marine iguana. A Galapagos tortoise. And my favorite, the blue-footed boobies. Learning about these and other animals is fascinating, but it also reminds me of why diversity matters. Because as fun and interesting as these critters are, They didn't become like that to entertain us humans. They developed in different ways to attract mates, hide or protect themselves from predators, find food, survive in extreme conditions, and more. Diversity also allows species to fill separate niches and support each other. If one group suffers due to drought, illness, or attack, others can survive and even thrive. This ensures that the ecosystem as a whole endures, while a monoculture risks being wiped out by a single event or illness. And of course, diversity is equally important for people. If we have too much of the same thing, whether it's ways of thinking, personalities, genders, races, beliefs, and more, we become vulnerable. We're not able to respond as well to challenges that require different strengths, creativity, and new ways of being in the world. If we're open to differences and recognize what each person has to offer, though, we become stronger and more resilient. Supporting and encouraging diversity is important for many reasons. It expands our horizons and makes us part of the interdependent web of life, with space for all kinds of people, as well as plants and animals. And it reminds us of how much wonder there is in a world that has pink fairy armadillos, octopuses, and blue-footed boobies.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come, 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 whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Good morning. I'm Keith Prairie, a member of the worship committee, and my pronouns are he, him, his. This is called Great Pipes. About 30 years ago, I served for a short time as a church sexton at the First UU Church of Oakland, California. I have been involved in a number of UU churches throughout my life, but this one struck me by its proximity to an urban area and how involved the local folks were. To me, it's long seemed nice how we use the talk of inclusivity, but somewhat hypocritical that frequently our churches are in the suburbs, and that doesn't easily foster diversity. One of the experiences I had at the Oakland Church was having the opportunity to tour the organ, a great big unit with pipes of all sizes from tiny piccolos to the great reverberating tubes that rattled the building and had components throughout the sanctuary. Chambers and pipes, ducts, valves, ranks, and registers. Think of all the range and variety of the pipes, like the variety of folks who attend a church. Some small, others large, some shrill, some so low they rattle your fillings. Together we gather to do the work, to worship, to weep, and to wail when we sing. And it's our diverse voices that make for beautiful harmony. Blessed be.
Good morning, my name is John Howard, and this piece is entitled, It's Okay to Feel Uncomfortable. This is not specifically a piece about racism, but I begin by recalling the first time I was in a church-led training class called White People Healing Racism. The facilitator was a charming and cheerful young white woman who said to us, I want you all to repeat after me, I am good, good, good. And then she beamed at us, knowing how silly we would feel. But this was important. This emphasizes the truth that people tend to feel guilty and fearful exploring unfamiliar cultures or races, afraid of making mistakes and appearing stupid. Nowadays, we often hear the accusation aimed at those of us exploring diversity and multiculturalism that it is our intention to make white people feel guilty. Well, my experience was just the opposite. This training is meant to be liberating. That's why they call it healing racism. That's not to say I wasn't a bit uncomfortable now and then, and yet the freedom was refreshing. We knew we wouldn't be condemned or shamed for admitting things we have done or felt. And we heard that black people have stereotyped beliefs about white people, too. Did you know that there's a belief that most white people don't wash their hands after they use the restroom? That's an eye-opener. It might be totally bogus, but I bet it sticks in your mind for a while. It isn't fun being stereotyped. My first draft of this reflection was about learning to pronounce foreign names properly, and how so often I don't even try, especially if they are longer than 4 syllables. I was making fun of myself. I was reading it to the worship committee, and after I finished there was a pause, and then they commended me on my honesty. Clearly my attempt at levity had fallen flat. It's not easy making light of our awkwardness with diversity. And in today's political climate, I fear it's not allowed. So I thought of another approach. Instead of jumping into the deep end and grappling with racism, let's take a look at the types of diversity our congregation already contains that we might not always see. I recently joined the Central Maine chapter of Surge, showing up for racial justice. At our Zoom meetings, we begin with our names and not only our preferred pronouns, which I guess we should be getting used to by now, but what class we are from. Now that's tricky. Do we make assumptions here at A2U2 about class? Is there a majority culture some of us unthinkingly promote about being well-educated folks who read a lot of books? And what about neurodiversity, acknowledging that not all brains work the same way? What about regional differences? Do some of us shy away from a southern accent or a southwest accent? But by creating a culture of hospitality and ease around these small differences, we can send a message to all who visit us that we are in the process of opening ourselves to new possibilities. And practice helps. It gradually raises my tolerance for discomfort, helps me to take myself less seriously and less defensively. It is a path of liberation. Learning to love each and every one of you makes me feel good, and it probably won't do you any harm either. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rick Kimball, and I was with my wife Terrell at Hannaford in Falmouth the other day, attempting to suppress a sneeze that threatened to erupt behind my mask. I wandered into the cheese department to distract myself. Wow, I thought, look at all those different cheeses. They look so cute lying there in their snug little cellophane jackets. What variety! What choices! Behold the joys of diversity. Hey, I said out loud, to my own surprise and I'm afraid to Tyrrell's consternation, you guys are wonderful. To my greater surprise, a blue cheese answered. I'm beautiful, it said, and I crumble just right, better than that sliced fontina over there. It couldn't crumble if you sat on it. But I'd make a better sandwich just because I'm flat, countered the fontina. Not as good as me, shouted a brie. You guys don't even have a rind, and people pay good money to be rind and dined. Suddenly the whole cheese counter was alive and quarreling. Goat cheeses sneered at cow cheeses and Gouda snapped at Munster, while Americans sniggered at Swiss. "Stop!" I yelled. "This is ridiculous. You're each delicious alone, and together you're a wonder of the earth." Do you remember Charles de Gaulle, the president of France? He asked, "How can you govern a country with 246 kinds of cheese?" The answer is that you cannot. And that's why we need all you cheeses to keep our politicians guessing. Tyrrell grabbed my sleeve. "Shut up," she said. "People are staring." She pushed me backward onto our shopping cart and wheeled me into baking goods. "Those cheeses are worse than humans," I told her on the way home. "They all want to be the big cheese, the only one on the shelf. They don't understand that it's their number, their diversity that gives them their glory. They should come to this church. Our membership is diverse and struggles to be more diverse. And the cheeses ought to examine us as individuals. I am diverse, and just look in the mirror, so are you. Remember what Walt Whitman wrote? I am large, I contain multitudes. It's interesting that Whitman sang the diversity of self and of many diverse others, yet is condemned today by many for his attitude toward blacks. Intellectual giant though he might have been, he sometimes sounded like one of Hannaford's cheeses. It might seem silly to think of cheeses rejecting diversity and attacking each other because of their differences, but it is stunningly stupid and very sad to have humans doing the exact same thing. What if the window shades in the sanctuary or of your house started arguing about which was at the best level? And what if our candles of joys and sorrows argued about which was saddest or gladdest? Absurd, of course. And who is their model for such antagonism toward different others? You know, the human race, and that's absurd too. Why do people do it? Why are people so troubled by, even frightened by the differences they see in others? Indeed, why are they so troubled, even frightened by the diverse voices they hear in themselves? Troubled and frightened to the extent that they deny those voices. Because accepting differences and contradictions means accepting the interplay of opposites. And opposites can have sharp edges. And because dealing with diversity is for many people a control issue. Some fear having non-whites become a majority in this country because white people like me might lose control. To which I respond, who wants to be in control of this country? I don't. Why do we attempt to silence some of the diverse voices in ourselves? Because we who think we're so special might lose control. Well, let's get over it. Let's do the cheeses one better and agree that what this country needs is having people of every race, of every persuasion, of everything to share control. That approach is called democracy. It can work for an accepting country, just as it can work for an accepting church. Blessed be.
Good morning. My name's Mike Luce. My pronouns are he, him, and his. The title of my piece is Diversity, Adversity. When this topic was first proposed and when I first started thinking about it and writing, I was naturally focused on the usual suspects: race, gender, wealth, class. Couldn't get started. Nothing seemed to click. I was easily diverted, start a couple of drafts, all the while feeling a little bit cranky. This isn't it running through my mind. Put them away for a week, came back, looked at them, trashed them. Not the diversity I needed to talk about. We have much more than a diverse political and social divide in our nation. It's a chasm, and I'm having a hard time finding that common ground we've always assumed we shared. We've always had the basic optimism that we'd muddle through, as the Brits like to say. Now I'm not feeling it. I confess to fearing those others as I never have before, and I don't know what to do with that. I can't find the common ground with someone who denies objective facts or subtle science. I'd love to be able to have a civil conversation with someone who can in some way acknowledge the level of lying which went on these past 4 years. Someone with whom I can talk about the same facts and share a basic belief in the scientific method. I don't know how to talk with someone who's basing all their choices on an impending end of days and doing everything in their power to fulfill that prophecy, or a white supremacist either. It was always a linchpin in my life that I worked best with a team of diverse people, each one bringing their own outlook and skills to a shared task. Not just a task, a goal. Now our society does not share a goal. Whether it's religions which state that theirs is the only truth and way and insist that all others must accept their dogma, or racists who are so insecure that they insist on their own superiority to and protection from anyone not of pure race, whatever that is, or the wealthy escaping to their wall compounds. Diversity's turned to division. I confess to having no answers, only questions and fears, and this hope that something can bring us together. Maybe it'll be the environment, that ultimate existential fact of, well, our existence. Because none of us wants these ever to be considered the good old days.
No matter if you live now far or near, no matter what your weakness or your strength, there is not one alive we count outside, a deeper joy for all will come at length. May deeper joy for all now come at length. Let none among us lie or self-deceive, nor cultivate a hatred all apart. May never one of us live by our rage, nor wish another injury of heart, nor wish another injury of heart. Just as the godly mother will protect her children in at risk of her own life, so may we nurture a mindfulness, a boundless heart beyond all fear and strife, a boundless heart beyond all fear and strife.
「君の声が聞こえる」「 closing words for this morning are from Eric Williams. Blessed is the path by which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Blessed is your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by going. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. May you go forth in peace.